Hi, guys. I feel like a news broadcaster, At least it's not Fox News or CNN, no, or CTV. CBC?
ABC.
ABC. All of the alphabet.
News at 9.
News at 9. Just even tapping the papers. I don't know. Weird. Way weird. How is everybody today? We are having weird weather. It's sunny, very humid, not very hot, a little bit of wind. It's like it can't quite make up its mind what kind of day it's going to be. But I know it's going to be like in here. We're going to have some fun. We have some really nice giveaways this week. We've got some beautiful brush sets from Dynasty. There are the black gold wave brushes. So there's angles, there's flats, and there's some other goodies in there. So there are some beautiful, we have 4 giveaways today, which is really nice. So 4 beautiful sets of Dynasty black gold brushes. So huge thanks out to Dynasty, to Veronica Tui and Greg Mink. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. And today we're going to be painting Sea Levy. I think this one's really fun. It's a jaunty little seahorse in some really bright colors. I love the coral with that Bahama blue, with that beautiful turquoise, nice vibrant contrast. And it's just really, really pretty. And it's a fun little sign that you can do for the cottage or for your home. So we're going to work on that today. But before we get to that, we're going to get to our shout out of the week. I shared it a bunch of times this morning. My shout out this week is to my my best bud, Deb Antonick at paintingwithdeb.com. She's got a great sale going on this week. The coupon code is in the post. It's on her website, but I'm going to tell you anyway. It's May 22. So type that in. It's going to give you 20% off of everything that she's got on her website. So go check it out. Stampenda stamps in particular, because it's that time of year where some stamps are going bye-bye and some new stamps are coming up. So if you're really looking for a particular stamp, now is your time to go and get it. And for the membership group, our June project uses that spring flower posy, whatever you want to call it. This one, this one with the pretty flower. It is a discontinued stamp. However, they will make, we can get them as long as we buy enough of them, but they are not that easy to find. Deb has about a dozen or so available on her website right now. So if you're looking for them, now is a great time to go and get that stamp. And if she's out, well, then don't forget to go and check Sandy McTeer's website, because she also has some, and I have a very limited amount. So if you're looking for that stamp for June's project, now's your chance. Get it now. And so that is my shout out this week to my one of my best buds, to my puddin', Miss Deb. So go and check out paintingwithdeb.com. And I think she's also got a sale on her Painting with Friends site. So go and check that out too. If you're on Facebook, you're going to see that post floating around. Just click on it. If you're part of the membership group, I've put the link directly to the flower stamp in a post in the group. And so you'll be able to locate it. So that is my shout out of the week. And that brings me to Happy Mail.
Uh-oh.
I got so much happy mail this week. I was a happy camper. The big one, I'm obsessed with stamps. Really
Edward.
Nice stamps. Edward, yes, drink up, my friend. I'm really obsessed with really great stamps, and I've been collecting a lot of the what do they call them? Stampers Anonymous stamps, the Tim Holtz designs. I just love them. I love them for backgrounds. I love them for all sorts of things. And they're just beautiful stamps. The qualities are great. The downside is I was having trouble figuring out a way to store them. And I found this. Check this out. I don't know if I can lift this up. This sucker is heavy. It is now because I put all my stamps in it. This is actually a card keeper. I found it at Michael's. It's perfect. Comes with like the dividers and everything. And it is the perfect size to hold all of my Tim Holtz stamps. Which brings me to my happy mail this week, because my pal Sandy, she's, oh my God, I can't get this open. There we go.
There we go.
I'm not allowed to swear on the air. That's why it's so hard to get open. If I swore, it would open words. Easily. Yeah. So I got to find my stamp. My pal Sandy sends me a stamp. Oh, blessed thing. I can't find it now. Oh, come on. Where did I put it? Nope. Cereal.
There's the bug.
Oh my goodness.
There's the moth.
Well, it was. Except I guess it's not it. That's not it. That's not it. What do you want to bet? It's all the way over here. Yes, this is it. Hello. Of course, it's always the last place you look. This is the stamp my pal Sandy sent me. So gorgeous. All the things that I love. Bugs, butterflies, and text. It's a beautiful stamp. And it fits perfectly right into this really great card keeper that I got at Michael's. So from Michaels.com, this was really nice. I think it was $14. It's just perfect for keeping all of my stamps in. And then I got these. These ones are these are a British company. Oops, those are not them. These are from a British company called Woodware Craft Collection. These are a clear stamp set. These ones are all designed by Francois Reed. These are just incredible. They're so beautiful. Great designs. The quality of them is stunning. I was playing with one last night, and they print beautifully, and they're just gorgeous. As you can tell, I was playing already. So these ones I fell in love with. They're just beautiful, and they're a great size for working, especially if you're into cards and whatnot. But I love that they had such a combination. They work really well for mixed media. So I got those. And then Miss Sandy sent me this. This is a silicone mold. Incredible detail. I was playing with it with a glue gun. There's a bumblebee and a butterfly in it. It's perfect. The detail is absolutely incredible. They are so beautiful. And these ones are from Zuri Designs Inc., which is zuri-inc.com. So if you want to go and have a look at their silicone molds, you can use paper clay, you can use polymer clay, you can even use a glue gun to do these. And they're also recommended for acrylic resins, and just incredible detail. So if you get a chance, go and check them out. They are, and their website is zuri-inc.com. Go and check them out. They're absolutely spectacular. And then last but not least, I got a wonderful envelope of stencils from Cupboard Distributing, from Chris Hoy and her team. They have launched a whole bunch of new masks. I don't necessarily want to call them stencils. They're more like masks. And they have all these lace doilies. All kinds of different designs. They are stunning. So I cannot wait to play with all of these. They're beautiful. They were very generous. Sent me quite a few to play with. Right off the bat, I absolutely had to place an order because we are running low on all of the collage stencils. And then I ordered these minis. And there's, I think, there's 3 or 4 minis in each one. They're gorgeous. The detail is incredible. They're just beautiful. And I cannot wait to play with these. I have some great ideas for those. So many thanks to everybody at Cupboard Distributing, at cdwood.com, to Chris Hoy, and to Lindsay Applegate. Thank you so much. I will put them to good use. I'm really excited about these. So we are going to be carrying a few sets of these, the minis, on the website, and we do have an order coming next week.
How big are those?
These ones, I believe, are about 4 inches across.
And the bigger ones?
And the bigger ones are 6. Cute. They're beautiful. The detail is beautiful.
They want a closer look at the stamps you got.
Which stamps? These ones?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll show them on the top down. So,
All right.
Yeah. And I got to show them that mold because it's really incredible. But yeah, these stamps are just beautiful. And I did forget to tell you where you could get these. These are made in the UK from Creative Expressions, a company that I'm very familiar with. Their website is creativeexpressions.uk.com. But if you're looking for them in North America, go to scrapbook.com, and that is your retailer. So you'll be able to find them here in Canada and the US through scrapbook.com. Absolutely gorgeous stamps. I'm really impressed with these. They're beautiful. So that was all my happy mail this week.
Yay.
I was a happy camper. It was just all sorts of creative, cool things arriving. I got more creative, cool things coming next week. I'm excited. I get very excited about things like that. Stamp sets and whatnot, because it's more potential.
And I'm going to be getting happy mail this week. It's going to be New security license, new equipment, and
paycheck.
much bigger paycheck.
And a much bigger paycheck. Renee got a bit of a promotion this week, so he's rather happy about that. We're happy for him. Let's see. Who all is...
We got a bunch of people. We got Sheila Landry in there.
Cheryl Voisin is watching.
Nelda Sanders.
Veronica Brayton. Kelly Albright. I'm sorry, guys. I have to look down at the feed. It's hard to see the names on here. Very hard. As you can see, I dressed up for the occasion today. Have my favorite painting shirt on.
Make sure all your buttons are done up.
My buttons are all done up. There we go. Nobody needs to see that. So I thought that today would be an opportunity to talk about the design process. I know some people are really curious. I've had a few people ask about what the design process is when I'm creating something like this. And I'll be honest, sometimes it goes, nail it first time out. Other times, not so much. Just because it looks good up here doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to translate well to whatever surface that you're working on. And I frequently change my surface and make a lot of adjustments when I'm designing. And from time to time, they work out just like a hot damn, and other times, no. So this one actually was one of those, no, thanks. This one, I initially had an idea, and when I put it together, it didn't work. So I ended up taking a paint roller to it, painting it all out all together, and then going, as they say, back to the drawing board, and then went back to my line drawing and started reworking it. And so once I did that and then got it back onto a surface, I started to see where my errors were, started to see the things that I needed to correct. And then I got to where I am right now with this one. So if you guys are ready to get started on this, so am I.
Yeah, you got to show them the stamps, though.
I will. Okay.
There you go.
Oh my gosh, I've got two left hands today. Remember what I said about, So these are the craft collection from Woodware. They're beautifully made. The detail is incredible, especially when you look in at some of these smaller elements like this hot air balloon in here. The details are really, really well done. And I really do love this one with the bicycle. Absolutely beautiful detail. What impressed me about these was there's font back here, there's text back here, and it's legible. Even that fine and that small, it's legible, which is rather impressive. And so really nice quality. They're a good size. You can use them for card making. You can use them for mixed media. You can use them for a whole bunch of things. And I would recommend, though, with this type of a stamp, simply because there's so much small detail, you want really good pressure on it, get yourself one of these. This is just an acrylic block so that you can, when you're applying pressure, it's going to be distributed evenly, and it'll give you a much nicer print for that type of thing. So that I would recommend getting a good acrylic block for these type of things. But the quality is what impressed me about these. I'm going to, let me take that print off. See, this stamp, they just peel off of their backing like so. Look at the detail. Just beautiful detail. And then I've got my acrylic block here, so I'm just going to stick it to the block. That's the nice thing about these. So that when I'm using it, I get nice uniform pressure on top of that stamp. Again, beautiful details. All of that little tiny text in there that you would expect to be, blurred or indistinct. It's crystal clear and perfectly legible. So really great detail. I was very impressed with the quality of these stamps. And they were reasonably priced. Even coming across the border, they were very reasonably priced for that level of quality. So like I said, if you're looking for a really great quality of stamp at a reasonable price, and a great selection, that's the other thing I have to tell you. They had a really great selection. Just go and check out scrapbook.com for this type of thing. Just a really great resource and really impressive quality, gotta say. So that is the stamps. And then there's this mold that Miss Sandy sent me. I had to play with this right away because I'm weak that way. But look at this. Now, I'm not sure if that level of detail is going to show up for you on the camera. But I will say, I filled this up with melted hot glue. And I mean filled it up to the point where it was overflowing. I shouldn't have, but I did. And then when I flipped it over, the detail on the bumblebee and on that butterfly were just staggering. So here, have a look at the photo, just to give you an idea of what that butterfly looks like. It's absolutely incredible. The level of detail is just unbelievable. And they are truly beautiful. Now, this is meant for a variety of media, so you could use that hot glue, you can use acrylic resins, you can use fondant, you can use paper clay, or you can use, what do they call that stuff? Polymer clay? Yep. Any one of those things, and it will work beautifully in these. I went and checked out their website. They have some incredible molds. Just these, I will say this, they are, considering the quality, I think they're reasonably priced, but they are not an inexpensive mold. But I think you get what you pay for when it comes to this kind of thing. So this one in particular, I checked out their website, it was $25 US for this little mold.
Wow.
But if you're into doing this type of work, especially if you're making jewelry, if you're doing any kind of resin work or polymer clay work, you want a really good quality mold.
Yep.
To get that really good quality jewelry. So if you are into that kind of thing, if you're interested in it, go and check this out. It is seriously impressive. The selection that they have and the quality is just beautiful. So yeah, I spent, at least 2 hours on their website yesterday because I was seriously impressed. It was beautiful work. So just a little shout out about the quality of that. And then of course, there's these. I was just blown away by how pretty these are. They're super pretty and delicate, but yet they're made out of a really good material. So there's 4 in the set. So I would use these like masks. So start with a neutral background and then spray color over top of them. I think you could do some really amazing things. So I was pretty excited about those. Alrighty, so let's get to our Seahorse piece. Now I was talking about the design process. Now this is our finished piece. When I finished this one up the other night, there was a couple of things that were not in this piece. And one of those things was this little cluster of bubbles right here. It is not in my original drawings. And so let's go to the original. This is the original drawing. I had chosen my seahorse theme. I used I have a drawing tool that I use. You can see the bubbles. That I changed the size of some of the bubbles too because that didn't work. I changed the number of bubbles because that didn't work. I changed up the font a little bit, made a few adjustments, but this one was originally designed for that jumbo tag, that large 6x10 inch tag, and it was not intended for this arched panel. And then once I had it drawn out, there were a few things that I didn't particularly care for. And I was kind of figuring out ways that I could incorporate some other elements. And then I went to this one, and this one got too busy. So if you look at these two side by side, there are a few little differences. I moved the lettering a little bit to the left, just a little, not a whole lot. We're talking 1/4 of an inch. I didn't move it much. I added a design element through the background with a little bit of seaweed, and then I added more bubbles. And all in all, when I was looking at it, it was okay, but it was very busy. And the one thing I was trying to avoid was having an extensive color palette. And immediately by adding in this extra little bit with this seaweed in there, I was adding at the very least 3 colors to this color palette, which I didn't want to do. I wanted to maintain a fairly short color palette. So I took it out, and then I was trying to figure out, well, what kind of element could I put in that's going to give me some vertical movement, that's going to use up a little bit of vertical space, a little bit of negative space. And that's when I came up with the idea for the lines. So instead of just having water back there, I was going to put in these vertical lines to give it sort of a weathered wood appearance, which led me to something else. So I eventually took all of this out. All of that seagrass and the extra bubbles and all of those things, I took them out.
It just got too busy?
It just got too busy, and it incorporated too many other colors, and I wanted to maintain a very short color palette. So how did I fill up the negative space or utilize some of the negative space without adding more to it, without adding more color to it? So that's when I came to this. So sometimes the simplest thing is where your answer lies. So in this case, I moved the lettering just slightly, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch to the left. I changed the surface to grant me a little bit more room, just a little. And then I changed the size of some of the bubbles. Some of the bubbles were quite large in the original line drawing, as you can see. So I changed this larger bubble here to...
You can't see that.
Yeah, this larger bubble here into 2 smaller ones. I took a medium-sized bubble and moved one here. And then I left these 2 the same, but then I was left with a lot of open space here. So then I decided that I was going to put a couple of bubbles in there just to sort of break up all this open space because it looked very empty. And at the same time, it sort of balanced everything. So I carried the color from these bubbles around the piece, if you notice. It kind of forces the eye around the piece. And then the seahorse again, and then the lettering. So having that vertical line took care of a lot of that negative space. Adding the extra bubbles ate up a chunk of this open space over here without making it too busy and without adding yet another design element to it. So I just used a little bit of continuity instead. And then for the lettering, again, I wanted something light that was going to jump off of that surface. And at the same time, it needed to tie to the seahorse. And so the shading color that is in my seahorse is the lettering color. So it balances out. And so we have a fairly limited palette. I didn't use a ton of colors. And I used the colors in the seahorse in 3 different values and then moved them around to shade. So ideally, we come up with this little guy. So we have bubbles, we have that weathered wood look in the background, we have lots of vertical movement going that sort of echoes the seahorse with that upright position. Nothing really competes, and then we have a really simple color palette, but doesn't get too overwhelming or too elaborate. So that is our little design process. All in all, it took me about 6 hours to get from this to this, and then an additional 3 to 4 hours to get to this. So even though this was a relatively simple piece, it still put about 10 to 11 hours worth of work into getting this guy completed. And the bulk of the work is in this portion right here. So this is what we're working on today. I like him. I think he's really cute. I know on camera he looks very orange. He is actually quite a bit darker in person. And this looks more green than bright blue. But we're going to have some fun with this. So I have my background already prepped, but I wanted to talk to you about it. We're using a stencil technique, just like we did in the seagull the other day. We're going to use that same stenciling technique that we used in the background. Or you can use a stamp, a wood grain stamp, like this one instead. So it's entirely up to you. If you have the stamp, use the stamp. If you have a stencil, use the stencil. If you haven't got either one, remember the brush technique that we did for creating weathered wood, for doing that barn board finish? Do that instead.
With the fugly brush?
with the fugly brush. So you can do that as well. So all you really want to create is a little bit of texture back there. So even if you use that weathered, that burn board technique, it's going to work for this. It's going to give you that sort of weathered, distressed appearance. So all kinds of methods that you can use to create that sort of distressed appearance in the background. And then once you have that done, this is where you're going to be. You're going to be at this point with all of this, kind of, sort of wood grain in the background. And then you're going to take a little bit of warm white. I love this part. I like layering things, so for me, this is fun. So I get my fugly brush out.
Oh, a lot of people are enjoying your design process.
Well, like I said, sometimes it goes really smoothly like it did in this case, and other times not so much. Sometimes I will change the design completely if things aren't working the way I want them to. So I'm going to take a little bit of thinned warm white, and I'm going to go right over top of all of that wood grain. I want to subdue it a little bit. Comme ça. I like these techniques where you get to layer colors one on top of the other. I like the end results. And it's super easy, and it's very, very forgiving. So when you thin out your paint, as long as you can see that wood grain through it, you're golden. Neatness doesn't count. So that's got one coat on it. And then I'm going to dry it, and we're going to put a little bit of Bahama Blue on our palette, and we're going to do the same thing with the Bahama Blue. I'm feeling very nautical these days.
Nautical?
Nautical. I think it's the beach calling me. I need to go to water. The finer weather is here, and I haven't been to a beach in 2 years. By finer weather, I mean it's not minus 30.
I'm looking outside. Not finer weather.
Well, it's a little cloudy and a little rainy.
Even Dot doesn't like it.
I know.
Poor Dot.
Poor puppers.
I met a gentleman today with a 17-year-old dog.
17?
17.
Wow. That's an
and
old
he looks
pupper.
like Benji.
Aw. 17 though, wow.
17. You can tell he's old.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for a 17-year-old, walking
No kidding?
with his owner,
Yeah.
not the greatest of pace.
Oh, you're not running.
He's not running. He's not in any hurry.
No.
But with 2 shattered hips.
Oh my goodness, poor puppers.
And the dog is just,
Motoring.
I'm here and I don't care.
So our next step is to thin out that Bahama Blue the same way you did with the warm white. And as long as you can still see that wood grain peeking through, you're okay.
I'm going to pronounce this wrong. I know that.
Okay.
Ann Parcher?
Okay.
She just retired yesterday.
Congratulations. Now you can spend all your time painting.
Yeah. She says her new motto is neatness doesn't count.
No, it does not. Nobody is going to grade you on anything. And if they do, who cares?
Congrats. Enjoy your time now and paint up a storm.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that retirement should be that time of your life when you do the things that you want to do. Not because you have to do them or if you have to be there or you have to meet somebody else's timeline. It's just, you go do what you want to do.
I have a Jack Russell Terrier who's rescued from Hurricane Katrina. We
Wow.
estimate she is about 17 as well.
Wow.
Wow. Usually when dogs live that long, it means their diet is good, they're stress-free, and
They've had a good life.
and they've had a really good life. What was the gentleman who played Robin in the old Adam West Batman series? He runs the Great Dane Rescue.
Yeah,
He,
escapes me.
I can't remember his name, but he he runs a Great Dane Rescue, and he has his own food line for dogs.
Yeah. For large breeds, doesn't
For Danes specifically.
Yeah.
And Great Danes usually 8-10 years max.
Well, yeah, because they were a large breed, or giant breed, I guess they call them.
Burt Ward, yes.
Burt Ward, yeah.
Burt Ward, that is the name. And his food, he claims his food has helped Great Danes live beyond their expected lifespan.
Yeah.
So much so, he has a 21-year-old Dane.
That's crazy.
What? First. Wow.
So once you get to this point, you can just see that wood grain peeking through all of that blue. I love that. I just love how that looks. Then you're going to take a little bit, and just a little bit, of your warm white, heavily thinned. We do not want a ton of color. I want to mute this blue just a little bit. So I'm thinning out some of my warm white. Lots of water or glaze. Just enough to subdue that wood, that blue, just a little. I don't want it to look white, but I do want it to look a little bit lighter. And this kind of gives that chalky look that painted stuff gets from being out in the weather, especially if it's near oceans. It takes on a almost chalky look, which I really like the look of. And then I'm going to dry this. I'm happy. The other thing I like about this is it kind of gives it a mottled look. It doesn't look so perfectly uniform. And it's pretty.
– 21-year-old Dane. Wow. That's unheard of.
Yeah. And there you go. That is your base. So from this point, you would trace and transfer on your line drawings. And then once your line drawings are in, you're going to shade around them. Now, I have my base coated already because it would have taken us all bloody day to get this done otherwise. Oh. So I'm going to wet up my angled shader. I want it good and wet for this. And our shading color for this is Deckwort's Mermaid Tail. I love this teal. It's just so, so pretty. And it's a very rich and bold color. So we're going to use it sparingly. Otherwise, it'll be in your face. And it's a very dark color, but it's nicely transparent. So we're easy to manipulate it a little bit.
Did you thin that with water or medium?
Either one.
Either or?
Yeah, either or. Doesn't matter which.
But what did you do?
Water.
Water.
I didn't have my medium open.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Where is your medium?
It's right here. Still closed, and it needs a top up. And it needs exchanging because there's sludge in the bottom. So I'm going to dump it in there. You
want me to wash that?
Please. You. So I've got a little bit of mermaid tail on my brush, and we're going to go into the corners and around the outside edge with that mermaid tail. This is your shading color for the outside edge. I love this color. It's so rich and it's just so vibrant, and it looks so good on top of that Bahama blue. It's just a beautiful, beautiful shading color. It's not really a blue, not really a green. It's just, that beautiful in between. And it's so rich.
How much you need?
Fill it.
To the top?
Well, give me half an inch or so from the top. I don't want to overfill it. So I go around the outside edge. I like to deepen those corners with it. And then when you get to that bubble, you're going to shade around your bubble. Thank you. So you're going to shade with that mermaid tail all around this our seahorse and around those bubbles, like so. Darkest value towards the seahorse. If you get a little on top of the color, don't worry too much. We're going to clean that up. That's the nice thing about doing it after you trace on your line drawings and before you do your base coats. If you get color on top of the seahorse, it doesn't matter because you're going to base coat right over top of it anyway. Now, by doing this, these bubbles in here are going to take on some nice shape and a little more dimension by putting that shading in. And I do love bubbles. My pal Deb has an amazing seahorse pattern on her website that I have always admired. It's just such great colors. And as you know, Deb always has so many little fun details in her designs. And that little seahorse is no exception. Well, not really a little seahorse. It's a big seahorse. So, again, I'm not too worried about the whole neatness thing going around these bubbles, simply because we're going to add so much more to these that it just doesn't matter. So, get that shading in all the way around the seahorse and around those bubbles. With that mermaid tail, it's just such a great color. And it's just so pretty. Renee's going to be back in a minute, so if you have any questions, I can't really see them at this point, but he will let me know if there's any.
Puppy is sawing logs.
Oh, they're sound asleep. Not surprised. She didn't seem all that enthusiastic about going out for her walk, so.
Yeah, once she started walking, she was fine.
Yeah. She just didn't want to get out of her comfy spot, that's all.
If you wanted to change the color of the seahorse, what other colors could you use?
Well, the nice thing about using a blue background is that there's a lot of colors that you could utilize for the seahorse. Pinks would be pretty in there. I went with coral just because I really like the color combination. But pinks would look great. Reds would look great. You could even go with like various shades of gold and yellow, I think would look great too.
I have Deb's seahorse pattern.
I love that pattern. It's one of my favorites of hers. Just so much great detail in it.
Good morning from Colorado. Last week we had 12 inches of snow. Today I'm ready to turn on the AC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. If you live in Canada, you're used to that.
If you're in Alberta, you could have 30-degree weather one day and
4 feet of snow the next.
4 feet of snow the next day.
Yeah. What's had
30 degrees. That's
30 degrees, about 85, 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah.
80, 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Woo! That's hot. I like 21.
Yeah. 21 to 25. Anything after that is just nope. If, the daily temperature could hover anywhere between, 65 and 75, I'd be happy. All summer long. And as long as humidity stayed away, we'd be good.
I like 10 degrees Celsius to 25. That's my range.
That's my range. I don't like super cold, and I really don't like hot.
I bought about 20 Americana colors at Walmart last week, including the neon colors, for 73 cents each.
Woo, well done. That's a good deal.
That's a very good deal. Today I'm playing with my Pebeo?
Pebeo.
Pebeo?
Yes.
Pebeo Fancy Paints.
I love Pebeo. Pebeo makes beautiful product.
Fantasy paints. Ugh.
Oh, yes. Their fantasy paints are gorgeous.
So cool. What's changed is they separate the cells.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Pebeo makes beautiful paint. I'm particularly fond of their vitrail. Their glass paints are just spectacular, but I've never used them on glass.
Are seahorses mostly pinks and corals, or do they have more colors? They range from jet black to all white to lime green.
Yep, you can get them in a variety of colors.
Yeah, seahorses can... Oh, there was one that they discovered was almost transparent.
Sea dragon.
Sea dragons?
Yeah, it looks like seaweed until you're right on top of it.
Yeah. Weird.
They're beautiful, but they are a type of seahorse. When Dominic and I went to the STP convention in Tampa Bay one year, they had at the aquarium, they had their whole show, big part of their show was on seahorses. And I had never heard of a sea dragon until I saw one there, and I was just fascinated with them.
Need a different color for mermaid tail.
You know what? What you need is a nice dark teal. You could go with mermaid tail. Let me see.
Nope.
Wait, you know what? I like mermaid tail, but teal itself would be fine. I just don't have it in my paint rack at the moment.
What time is it there?
Where we are, it's a little after 1.
Yeah, it is 1:45.
Okay. 1:45. I love mermaid tail, but a nice teal color doesn't have to be exactly mermaid tail. I just am partial to this color, and I like the transparency of it.
Hello from Michigan.
Cherry blossom country. I was fascinated. I my first trip to Michigan, went and spent some time with the chapter there. Just a great bunch of ladies, and the place that I was living in is like the cherry capital of North America. And there were cherry trees everywhere. It's just beautiful. Beautiful area right on the water. It was gorgeous. So as you can see, we're not talking like beautiful, neat and tidy floats here. Because at this point, it just doesn't matter. As long as we get some shading in and around these fellas, we're good.
Caps lock is cruise control for cool.
I got my caps lock stuck the other day. Literally, I think I spilled something on my keyboard and my caps lock stuck, and so did the letter M.
Don't spill stuff on your keyboard. Don't eat your kimchi near your keyboard.
Yeah. Or spill my tea, yeah. Did you forget who you were talking to?
Yeah.
So, I love that this teal gives me that, that mermaid tail gives me such a great shading for this color. But again, I'm thinning it out quite drastically because it is a very strong color. So I'm going to, because I haven't painted my lettering, I don't have to be all that neat and tidy getting around these areas here. Ta-da! Love it.
Question. If I share this video and email is my only choice, does that still count? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Your name gets put on a list. You're all good.
Yep.
It's an okay list to be on. It's not like a no-fly list or anything.
Yeah. So we have 4 giveaways today. And there's some Dynasty wave brushes in there. Flats, some angles. They're great for creating textures. Most people think you can't float with them, but yeah, you can, and they float really, really nicely. I just love that they have this great little textured edge to them. So if you're doing florals, textured flowers, grasses, and whatnot, they're phenomenal. So we have a bunch of those to give away, which is nice. Thanks very much to Dynasty for that. So I'm just going to shade behind my lettering. I'm putting a shadow on the right side on the background with the darkest value towards the letter. And I'm doing that inside.
Do we have the surface for sale?
For this one, yes, they're on the website.
They're on the website?
Yep.
Do we have stock?
We do. We have lots of them.
Okay. Yes, we have them.
Yep.
I was shared from Massachusetts. Love my Saturday afternoon with you guys.
Aw, well, we love that you
Sandy
come.
Jackson.
Welcome, Sandy, and thanks for joining us.
What color are the bubbles?
The bubbles, I have not done yet. We're going to talk about that next, now that I've got all my shading in. And I just realized I made 2 mistakes.
Uh-oh.
Right here. The V. I forgot to put the tail on the V. And I don't have a dot over my I.
Gasp.
Well, it makes a difference when it comes time to shade and highlight these things. So.
And you wonder why my generation is having a hard time with cursive. Because you don't finish writing.
Well, I finished it. I just didn't finish tracing it. That's all. I'm going to give you... I did, however, get myself a book the other day. The Art of Cursive Handwriting. You're welcome to use it whenever you like.
I know my cursive. I choose not to. You know why? Because you wouldn't be able to read it. I also put
Well, your father was taught cursive, and I couldn't read his yesterday.
He was forced to.
Yeah.
There's a difference. When you don't have a choice in the matter.
So I have all my shading in place. Now I'm going to tweak it in a few places because I like to tweak things. And one of the things I want to do is I want to widen up this float a little bit. And you'll notice these are not perfect, neat, and tidy floats. Because the end result that we want is going to look like old wood. If it had absolutely meticulous, beautifully floated color in there, it wouldn't work. It would be contradictory to the style that we're trying to create. So I'm not really worried about whether or not these floats are perfect. So we have all of our shading in place. I'm going to take a minute to dry this, just so I'm not smearing color all over the place, because that would be my speed today.
My teens can read and write cursive, and I taught it to them since the schools don't.
They don't do it anymore.
They don't do it anymore.
So I'm going to grab a small round. I'm thinking probably a 5 or a 4 will do the trick. And a little bit of glaze. And we're going to start with a little bit of thinned warm white. And I do mean heavily thinned. For this, I'm going to use a little bit of glaze. And I'm going to come over here to the bubbles. And we're going to put just a wash of thinned warm white on this bubble. And I don't think I have it quite thin enough, but I'm going to take a little bit of glaze and water, and I'm going to swirl it a little bit. And then I'll carry the excess. There we go. So I don't want this a solid base coat. It's going to look a little watery, which is what I'm looking for. And I'm going to do all the bubbles that way. I do not care if they are perfect. And if they look swirly and uneven, that's a good thing.
What kind of paint is this?
It's just watered down, good old-fashioned Americana. Available at your local Michael's store.
Or
local
Walmart.
Craft or some Walmarts.
Some Walmart.
We don't have Americana in the Canadian Walmarts. Not at Mar. No.
No.
All plaid.
Oh, plaid.
Yeah. We do, however, have DecoArt Americana in our dollar stores. You can get it at the Great Canadian Dollar Store, and some of the Dollaramas carry them. You can use the Craftsmart brand too. So I'm just putting this watery mix of warm white, thinned, heavily thinned, very watered down. You can do that with either water or a little bit of glaze. It is not meant to be tidy or even. If it looks a little irregular and swirly, that's okay. I'm going to dry them, and then we're going to repeat that with a little bit of Bahama Blue, heavily thinned. Heavily thinned. Just want to make sure that everything is nice and dry. I rather like the irregularities.
Is Craftsmart made by DecoArt?
Yes, it is.
Ah.
There's Crafters Acrylic and Craftsmart and DecoArt Americana. The Craftsmart paints are made by DecoArt, as is the Crafters Acrylic. And the only difference between the two is primarily pigment load, but the quality of the acrylic that they use, the quality of the paint itself, adhesion, etc. is the same.
I've got a question about cursive.
Okay.
Are there such thing as cursive numbers?
Not to my knowledge.
No.
Unless writing them out counts. Like TWO and THRE.
No, that doesn't count. I mean, like...
I know what you meant, but yeah, no, not to my knowledge.
Next question is, what is the purpose of cursive?
It was fast.
It was fast.
It was fast.
But I write faster printing.
Some people do, but cursive writing, once you've practiced it and are good at it, it's very fast.
So it's speed.
Yeah, speed primarily. So now that I've got that white base down, I'm going to heavily thin some Bahama Blue. And I'm going to do the same thing. Go right over top of that white. But it's not an even coat. It is kind of mottled, kind of irregular. So don't be worried if it looks a little thin in spots and it doesn't look perfect. That's okay, because we kind of want it that way. So I'm just putting this heavily thinned wash of Bahama Blue right over top of all of that white.
How can they sign a county? What is a signature? Any mark that is unique to you.
Yeah.
It could be an X, it could be a question mark.
Yep.
Whatever is unique to you. It could be a thumbprint.
Yep.
At one point, that's how you had to.
Yeah, because people were not educated. Only the higher classes, or should say, but nobility, people with money, people with position. They were the only ones that had the means to be educated to that point. So for a great portion of the population, they used their thumbprint.
When I was in high school, they taught us shorthand. They don't teach that either.
No, it's unnecessary now. But
the reason for shorthand is because shorthand can be customized.
Yep.
To suit the writer. So.
Yeah, it was like a basic code.
Yeah.
So I have all of my bubbles. Now I know somebody's going to ask me, why did I put the wash of white down first? I put the wash of white down so that the bubbles are going to be a slightly different color than the background. If I just put Bahama Blue on it, it would just look like blue bubbles on the background, and I wanted them to be a little bit different. So I put a white base down, and then I put a wash of Bahama Blue over top of it, and it changes the value of the color without making them fully opaque.
That was a mouthful.
Was a mouthful, but it got me there.
My children were taught cursive at school, and both are adults, and now both print as adults. Can't win. I'm somewhat of an adult.
Says you.
Says me. I can read cursive. I can do cursive. It's slower than me printing. Because I have to remember, is that an R? Yes. What I never got was F. Why does it have to go below the line? That doesn't make sense. It's just 3 lines. Done.
So we're going to shade these bubbles. I want to show you a really easy technique to make things look spherical. So I'm going to use a little bit of that mermaid tail. Whatever dark teal green that you decide to use for this will work fine for this. So we're going to start with these bubbles. I'm going to start with this one up here, and I'm going to put a float on one side of the bubble, but I'm going to come just 1/16 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. I'm leaving a narrow gap in there. And I'm going to do about half of the bubble, like so. And we want to leave that space. Oops, I got that little space is important. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it is.
The piece is a 6x12 or 8x12?
6x10.
6x10. Sorry.
6x10 tombstone.
I'll write half cursive and print.
Mine is sort of, at this point in my life, sort of a combination of both. I have a tendency to write cursive, and then certain letters, I stop and then I pick it up again. So it's...
The one that fascinates me is Asian calligraphy.
Yes, I agree with you
because
there.
every line is a consonant, not a consonant. It's a syllable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yep.
So every line is a syllable, which means something.
Yep.
So
it's fascinating.
it is fascinating.
So that little space implies that there is a wall on the bubble. So because bubbles are hollow, having that little narrow space sort of indicates that there is a wall there.
I took shorthand to help study with study notes in high school and college.
Mm-hmm.
I developed my own shorthand in the military for taking down orders.
Yep.
Sometimes it's two letters.
Yep. I think we all do that.
Whoa. I love bubbles. I go out with the fall and the colors of the trees and point my camera at the colors and blur my lens to make the broken bubbles in a photograph.
Very cool.
In beautiful fall colors. Oh, nice. I had to learn how to print very quickly. My secondary students could not read cursive on the board in the classroom.
Mm-hmm. So there I have established the walls of my bubble by putting in that shadow. And now we're going to establish the outer wall on the highlight side. And we're going to do that with a little bit of thinned warm white. So just keep in mind the width of that space that you put on that side. You're going to maintain that space on the other side. So nice float. And you're going to bring that highlight down until it meets the end of that shaded line. So those two things are going to meet. So you complete the circle. So those two colors should overlap just slightly. Now bear in mind, oops, I got way too much white paint on my brush. Bear in mind, this is a simplified method for doing bubbles. There we
Those doily stencils / masks,
go.
those are from who?
Cupboard Distributing
Ah, okay.
at cdwood.com.
All right.
They are on their website. I have some ordered, but it's going to be a couple of weeks before we get them. I was really excited about them. Now I can't wait to start playing with them because I have a couple of ideas in my head. I know that's probably a dangerous thing, but
Wait, you had lobster for lunch?
that's just wrong. You didn't invite us.
No kidding.
Yeah, know who
that
your
was-
friends are.
That was Murney. Finally made it. Just finished cleaning up lobster
Yum.
for lunch.
Break out the lemon juice.
And the garlic powder.
Well, the lemon juice is for cleanup.
Yeah, that helps with the smell.
Yeah, takes the smell out.
I miss the garbage bag
Yeah.
meals.
Garbage bag meals. It is, coming into summer.
I know.
Hello. We will have our feed.
I am going to have to. I think I'm going to be a frequent visitor at the Lighthouse Cafe there.
Mm-hmm.
I hear he's going to be having lobster rolls this year. Should be good.
Well, I know from experience that the Lighthouse Cafe has great lobster rolls. And so does the place down by the exhibition grounds.
Everybody's just saying bubbles.
Bubbles! But yeah, that little highlight, so when you're connecting those two, now you have a wall. What?
Bubbles.
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 Oh no! Oh my god, no! I forgot all about that.
Ah, comes the dawn.
Oh my god, it took me a minute.
Took-
He's having
that.
a giggle because when he was younger, much younger,
Much younger. Beavers.
he was a beaver.
I was
he
a beaver.
Part of the Scouts organization back in the day, and because my kids were active in those things, I was active in those things, so I became a Scout leader, and my Scout name was Bubbles. I had forgotten all about that trauma.
That was back in Pet.
It was.
Yes.
That's going back a long ways. But yeah,
That's funny.
I was a Scout leader.
Yeah,
called
the little
Bubbles.
community center across
Yeah.
the street. Right next to the Canex.
Yep. So I've got that first highlight in, and now we're going to pump up that highlight. I'm going to use a little bit of warm white, but a little stronger, and I'm going to come in just a little, and I'm going to put a stroke in like so. I'm coming in from the edge of that first float, just a little.
What was it? It was beavers,
Yep.
cubs, and then scouts.
Yep.
And by the time you were like, what, 16, I think was the age out?
Yep.
16 was the age out, and you were a scout.
Yep.
But,
You
Beaver-
didn't go that far, but you were.
I remember selling apples.
Yep.
Going door to door selling apples.
Yep. On Apple Day.
Apple Day. Don't even think about it.
There we go.
Oh, okay. Don't.
Oh, Miss Soot's here, is she? Yes, she is. Don't touch that camera.
What does she do?
She has to touch the camera.
I'm gonna touch it.
So I've got my secondary highlight on my bubbles. Pretty straightforward, simple. What we're looking for in the end is this. We want a fairly bright highlight on our bubbles, and we're going to put that in now. I'm going to use a round and a little bit of warm white, and I'm coming in just a little from the edge. And it's, oops. Oopsie. There we go. Now I'm still using warm white for this. I haven't changed anything. There we go. There is our bright highlight. Now all of those graphite lines and whatnot, we'll clean those up towards the end. So I'm going to dry this. And then we only have one more thing to do to the bubbles, and that is to add that final impact point, that final bright highlight. And I'm going to do that with a little bit of titanium white. I like the brighter white for this. I'm going to grab I have a rigger here somewhere, or a liner brush. Either one. I just want to put a dot of white on that impact point. I've just put it slightly off and to the right of the top of that. There we go. So now we have a bright impact point on all of our bubbles. So I'll dry them, and then we are ready to go to our wonderful little seahorse. This little guy is he's fun to paint, and he's not a difficult one to paint either. So the 3 colors in our base coats for this little guy, I want to point these out so we're nice and clear. The face, the fin on his back, and the chest portion are done with coral shell. So this is our lightest value. The top of his head and this side stripe coming down here is painted with coral, which is just sort of that mid-value color. And then our darkest value of this is the bright salmon, which is this portion in front of the eye, this little arrow around the eye, and then all of this going down the back and onto the tail of the seahorse is done with this bright salmon. So I have 2 coats on. I found that 2 coats was more than adequate for this, and it worked out quite well. I do, however, think that there's a few little areas that I need to touch up, but that's the nice thing about paint. We can do that. So I'm going to put all 3 of these values on my palette. And then we have a shading color that we're going to use. It's actually going to be a brush mix of 2 colors. So we're going to use the bright salmon mixed with a little bit of country red to do the shading color on the bright salmon, meaning that I'm just changing the value of this bright salmon a little bit to do that shading. So we need to have a little bit of country red on our palette as well. Now, our lettering here, the word C, you can base coat with straight country red, or you can use the brush mix of the coral and the country red together. It doesn't matter which. If you like the darker value, then by all means go for it. Use the country red. It's going to work regardless. So I want to clean up a couple of things. So I'm going to use the bright salmon to clean up. There's a spot here where that mermaid tail went over top of my base color, so I just want to clean up a couple of edges just so it looks nice. This is such a pretty color. I've used bright salmon quite a bit. I love this color, especially for sugar skulls and whatnot. I think it's just a really lovely tone for flowers. It's just such a rich and warm pinkish coral color. So it's ideal for nautical designs. It just works really well. And it's an easy color to shade and highlight because you can pull from so many different places. One of my favorite combinations for bright salmon is Tuscan red or country red to shade with. It takes on a real rich look. It's just so, so pretty. So we're going to start with the chest piece and the face on this little guy. Now, I made a boo-boo here when I base coated it, but I will correct that as we go. So right here, you're going to connect this hump with this hump by drawing a line to it, and it's going to have a little curve. You don't want it to be too straight. And then we're going to do the same thing here. I like this sort of curved look. I want that little dip in there. It just gives this a nice look. So if you were smart, unlike me, and kept your line drawing attached to your finished piece so that you could transfer this on, but if not, you can just freehand them in. It is not that big a deal.
I missed a bunch of stuff.
It's all good. So I just want to put these lines in real quick just for reference so that I know where everything goes. It's mainly for placement. Easy peasy.
Tracy, do you dream of ideas to draw and paint?
All the time. I don't sleep anymore. My brain goes at 90 miles an hour.
Have one for me, Renee?
I don't know what that means. Coffee? Tinkle?
No, no, the den mother thing. Was Karen in Pet at that time? Or were they still in Germany?
No, they weren't in Pet. They were in Gagetown.
Ah, they were in Gagetown.
They went to Gagetown, we went to Pet.
I have a crock of baked beans happening to go along with brown bread and coleslaw.
Ooh. We're having gyros for supper.
Gyros! Gyros / donaires.
Yep. And I'm going to do a little bit of chicken souvlaki.
I live in Idaho and never had a lobster roll.
Oh.
You have not lived.
No.
You need to go
to where there's salt water and get real lobster.
Yeah. Best lobster rolls, from what I understand about the United States, would be either in New England.
Yeah, Maine.
New England, Maine, or want to say
Cape
New
Cod?
Hampshire, but it's not New Hampshire.
Cape Cod.
Cape Cod.
Rhode Island.
Rhode Island.
Maine.
Maine.
Anywhere on the eastern seaboard. Northeastern seaboard.
Northeastern seaboard, yeah.
Specific about that.
Yeah. Go there, get a lobster roll, and enjoy.
Yeah. Better yet, come all the way up to New Brunswick or Nova Scotia and get one. Or better, go to Prince Edward Island.
Go to PEI, yeah. True lobster roll.
True lobster roll. They're yummy. Okay, so we're going to start working on this little guy. There's something about seahorses. There's something really fascinating about them. I'm going to grab my 3/8 angle, and I'm going to get my palette a little bit closer because we want to show you how I'm doing this.
Okay, they're really asking for a sea turtle.
A sea turtle? Okay. We'll do a sea turtle.
There you go. Sea turtle.
I love doing beachy stuff. I love doing this. I call it beachy stuff, but by the sea. But I got to come up with a really good quote to put with it.
Oh.
Renee doesn't like the sea la vie thing. I think it's cute.
I have a severe seafood / shellfish allergy, so I've never tasted a lobster roll. I am so sorry.
No kidding. I have not had fiddleheads yet this year. I'm so upset.
There's a guy selling them on the highway for $5 a pound right now.
Oh, well, when Dad needs to go stop. Dad needs to go get me some fiddleheads.
$5 a pound.
I love fiddleheads.
Yeah. Do you live near the beach?
She
wishes.
I wish we lived closer. We're about an hour hour away.
Hour's drive.
Yeah, but an hour's drive. And it depends on what kind of beach you like. If you like super sandy beaches and just walking in the sand and whatnot, that's one thing. We have both. We have really beautiful sandy beaches down in the Strait. Bay of Fundy is not quite so sandy. It's a little on the rocky side, but still, it's a beach, and I love going there. My favorite beach is in Grand Manan Island. If I'm in New Brunswick, Grand Manan Island. If I'm in Nova Scotia, my favorite beach is Crescent Beach on the South Shore. Love Crescent Beach. If I'm on Prince Edward Island, it's all of them.
It's an island.
It's an island. I love them all. They're amazing.
Did anyone else lose their sound? I hope not.
Don't think so. Okay, so we're going to start shading this little guy. So we're going to start with the chest in here. Now, the shading color that I'm using in here is going to be our bright salmon. So.
Never had fiddleheads either.
Oh, I love fiddleheads.
What is a fiddlehead? It's a fern.
It's a wild fern. You see them growing all over the place, but when they first break ground, they come up and they look like literally like the tail of that seahorse or like the head on a fiddle. It's a tightly coiled spiral. And when they're at that point, they're delicious. And we pick them, blanch them, serve them with butter and lemon juice, or serve them with butter,
Salt, pepper.
and salt and pepper. And they're phenomenal. They're particularly good with a brown butter hollandaise.
Yum.
They're delicious. I think they're an acquired taste. Most people expect you to say, well, they taste like spinach or whatever. They have a unique flavor. But they're very tasty. And we love them, and they're very common here. So I'm shading this little spot in the belly. I'm creating a little bowl, so to speak. It's a C shape that fits in that little space there, and I'm leaving a gap. If you can see it, I've colored up to the line, but not onto the line.
PEI is amazing in the summer, and in the winter, not so much.
No, I wouldn't want to live on the island in the wintertime.
No.
So that same color that we used in that shading is going to go along the bottom of the face here. Just like so. And then again on that little fin in the back.
Keith says fiddleheads are eating weeds.
Oh, they're delicious.
They're tasty.
Yeah.
Don't knock it till you try it.
Yeah. We have some unusual foods out here.
I'm surprised nobody asked what a donair was.
Yeah. Well, we have one of my favorites, and I make them for Caesar salads. I make them for a bunch of things, but scrunchions.
I love scrunchions.
He loves scrunchions. Scrunchions are cubes of pork belly or pork fat, and you fry them up with a little bit of salt and pepper until they're crunchy. Like you get that crisp thing. And we serve those on top of a variety of things, but Newfoundlanders use them on fish and brews all the time, which is delish, by the way. So for the coral color in there, the shading color is going to change a little bit. We're going to mix a tiny amount of country red, just a touch, to change the value of that bright salmon, and that is going to be our shading color on the coral. And again, it's that little C shape or bowl shaped float inside that.
Cracklins.
Cracklins, that's another name. I guess that's the name that you see.
Oh no, Sheila, they're not pork rinds. Pork rinds is
No.
is different.
Yeah, no. Scrunchions are made from pork belly, or
There's actually meat.
Yeah, there's actually meat on them. I make my own bacon, so we'll get a slab of pork belly and marinate it in brine for a few days, and then I put it in the smoker. And then when we have that, I will usually cut off a chunk of that fatty bit that's on it, and I dice that up and use that for scrunchions. But most commonly here we serve them with fish, poached fish.
I hate donair sauce.
Oh, that makes two of us. I cannot stomach donair sauce. Blech.
It's really easy to make.
It is very easy to make, but I still don't like it.
It's too sweet for some people.
Oh, yeah. Blech.
But if you look at a donair, you got fresh tomatoes, fresh onions, fresh cucumbers, and usually a spicy meat mixture.
Yep.
And you got a ton of savory and spicy.
Yep. That little bit of sweet. I mean,
a little bit of sweet goes a long way. It helps with the taste. But most places, especially on the East Coast that make donairs, overdo it.
I don't care for the sauce. I never have, but
I like.
I just find it in general too sweet. But that's just, again, a preference thing.
Where do you get all the time to do all you do?
I told you I don't sleep. Well, I do sleep. I just don't sleep long or much. So
now I want a donair.
It's a donair is a Middle Eastern thing. Kinda.
It's a Canadian thing.
It's a Canadian thing.
Donair is a Canadian thing.
But it's based on an Middle Eastern dish.
Gyros are Greek.
Yeah.
And that's usually served with tzatziki.
And that's how I like a donair. I prefer to have tzatziki or sour cream or yogurt or something on it. But I'm a savory person. I don't care for sweets. So
shawarma is usually more on the Middle Eastern spice side.
Yeah.
So a lot of earthy spices. And
which is like
licorices and stuff like that are in there.
Star anise and
but they usually serve it with like goat creme fraiche or and then fresh cucumbers and
mint,
an onion salad.
Yeah. Oh,
so good.
So we're making donairs tonight. Well, they're having donairs. I'm having shawarma. That's essentially what it is, because I'm not fond of donair sauce, so I usually will put yogurt and fresh dill and cucumbers and whatnot in mine, because that's my preference. So I am shading remember that
lamb and tzatziki.
Oh, yes. That bright salmon is getting shaded with a mixture of that country red, just changing the value slightly. So it's a little bit of country red mixed with that base color, which is that bright salmon. And I'm shading all along that little area right there. And then all of those lines coming down the back right here get a float of that mixture as well. And it's just dividing all of those segments. And we can deepen this after the fact with a little bit of asphaltum. But I really like how that country red just sort of deepens that bright salmon just a little and gives us the contrast that we need to get that shape. So we have these really great little, look at that. So now he's really developing some shape.
Oh, this is going to make you go yum.
Why?
Nana's says, my aunt used to make a dish called artichoke croquettes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You had me at artichoke. I love artichokes.
And I like croquettes.
So artichoke croquettes. Oh my. I bet they're delicious. I love artichokes. They're just, I don't know what it is. They're the most unusual and non-edible edible ever. Like they're just not. You have to cook them to death to even be able to eat them.
Yeah.
But they're yummy.
But they're packed full of flavor.
Oh yeah, they're just yummy. I love any kind of artichoke dip. Yeah, you had me at artichoke. I love artichokes. I'm a veggie person. I love vegetables.
Yeah.
So I mean, you throw eggplant on the grill, I'm in. I love eggplant.
Yeah.
Baba ganoush, anything like that. I love eggplant. There's something
Not a fan
about
of aubergine.
I love them. Green vegetables, steamed Brussels sprouts, roasted Brussels sprouts. I'm all over that. I love those.
I like Brussels sprouts too.
Spinach, beet greens, any kind of green. I'm in. I love greens. Green beans, string beans, wax beans. I'm a maritime girl. I grew up eating out of everything came out of the garden. So, same with pickles. We grew up eating. Our pickles were always homemade. We didn't have the funds for.
What are croquettes? Like a hush puppy.
Yeah. Similar to a hush
It's
puppy.
usually something mashed, breaded, or mashed into a ball with a bunch of seasonings and what have you, and then they're breaded or dipped in egg and breaded, and then deep fried.
Yeah. So they're all crunchy and stuff on the inside.
Like a cheese ball.
Yeah.
That's a croquette.
So I've got all of my shading in place. I love this color palette is just fun. Now, if you need to deepen a few shadows, so if there's areas that you find aren't really giving you the pop you want, you can use a little bit of country red. That will work. But if you want to, and I want to, I'm going to use a little bit of asphaltum. Because I love asphaltum. It's one of my favorite colors. Trying to keep all my paint out of my way today.
It's a hush puppy ?
What the hell is a hush puppy? I fell in love with those the first time I ever had one.
Like a chicken nugget. Yeah, kind of like a chicken nugget, except they're in ball shape.
Yep.
Oh, cheese ball sold.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh.
But you could do it with all sorts of different cheeses and vegetables, meats.
Well, growing up in Germany, we didn't call them croquetten or something else. They were usually piped.
Yeah.
So it was, Kartoffeln croquetten or potato croquettes. They were just, essentially seasoned mashed potatoes piped out of a bag and then deep fried, and they were delicious.
Yeah, that's essential. That is a croquette.
Yeah.
That's a traditional croquette.
Yeah. But one of my favorite things was Kugeln in Germany. A Kugel is just a ball, like a dumpling, sort of. And they come in a variety. But one of my favorites, we had a soup that my oma used to make, and it had Kugeln in it, which was the smaller little balls, like meatballs, similar. Yeah. And they were so good.
I love tempura veggies.
You had me at tempura. So I'm going to take a weak float of asphaltum, and I'm going to deepen a few of these shadows. Just because I can, and I like to. So I'm just putting that float of heavily thinned asphaltum. I don't want it full strength. Full strength, it would bury this and give us a harsh line, but I don't want that, so.
You got Karen going now. Ooh, salmon croquettes.
Ooh.
That would be good.
Yes. So there we go. We've got...
I'm a fat person stuck in a skinny boy's body. It's true. You've seen me eat.
Yes.
How am I not like
200? I don't know. You should be 400 pounds the way you pack away food.
Yeah, but here I am.
You inherited your father's gene. Your grandfather's gene.
My grandfather's gene.
So I'm just deepening some shading in a few spots that I figured needed it. I want a little more. And then we're going to start highlighting this little guy. And this part is fun because it really isn't, it's not rocket science, believe me. And we're going to sort of create that scoop that's in this part of his belly. We're going to do that with a little bit of warm white. And we're going to thin it out quite a bit. Now, if you find the white is too harsh, you can pick up a little bit of that base color and blend it in. But you're going to put your highlight, okay, took a little too much out. Your highlight is going to go right up against that line that we put in. Right there. So just opposite that shadow, that little highlight goes in. Now, I thinned it out because I wanted the color to slightly overlap that darker value that we put in the shading. And so it's going to give you that curved appearance, that bowl that we're looking for. Et voila. And we're going to do the same thing on so this is all done with that heavily thinned warm white. So there is your highlight. And it gives you that nice little bowl shape. Just like so.
I miss my black cherry sauce and almond balls.
Is that Karen?
Yes. I'm glad you knew.
That black cherry sauce. It was black sour cherries. Schwarzenkisch, really dark ones. And the almond balls she's talking about is like marzipan, a grated marzipan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yum.
Yup. So all of those little areas here, you're going to take a little bit of that coral, that light coral shell, and we're going to put a little highlight, and I do mean just a little highlight, opposite that shadow. It is not a strong one, nor is it perfect. If you find it hard to get that lighter value under control, use the mid value. Don't feel that you have to get it. It's just a little highlight just to separate the two, to accentuate that layer in the shells. It's not a really elaborate float. So don't worry about whether or not it's perfect because it doesn't matter. It's just enough to separate. That's all.
Just when I think it looks perfect, you make it more perfect. If you only knew.
Oh, you know, some days I could mess up the Lord's Prayer.
What was it? What did we say? Some days I can knock it out of the park.
And other days I try to get out of the car with the seatbelt on.
Yeah.
Like I did the other day. I grabbed my purse, grabbed my phone, opened the door, and yanked me right back in my seat. Why? Because I tried to get out with undoing my seatbelt.
Brava.
Bravo. So, little highlight. Again, I'm just using a little bit of that thinned.
This pattern's already available on the website.
Yep.
Yeah. Go to tracymonroe.net and
it's
go
right
download
on
it.
right on the homepage. If you look at the homepage on my website, it's going to open it up and it'll have the title page, but you scroll down just one space and we have a bar there that tells you what we're teaching on the live class, and then there's a link right there. So we try to make it as easy as possible to find what you need.
Karen says, I've seen you do that.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yep.
Barb Schwabel?
Schwabel.
Schwabel.
Yeah,
That's a very German last name, or...
it is.
She says, I'm painting along.
Yay!
Sue Braun says, I've done it too.
Oh, yeah. It comes from not thinking about what you're doing, but thinking about what you're going to be doing. And I am not always, playing with a full deck. Some days more than others. So I've got all of my shading in, got my highlighting in place. I need to put a nice little highlight on our fin back here. I like to put it on the outside edge. In case you hadn't noticed, there's not really any significant concern as to whether or not there is a light source. In this particular case, I'm not really worried about it. So, got a highlight on the fin. So, we need to talk about this eyeball. I'm going to grab my fine liner.
She calls those Lucy moments.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like Lucille Ball.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be me. So I want to really enhance the eye on this little guy. So I'm going to take my liner brush and I've mixed, it's just a brush mix, a little bit of warm white with that coral shell. And I'm putting a nice little line around the eye. And I'm going to put another line just along the top edge of that little arrow that's underneath the eye. I know you're probably wondering what that is. It's just an indentation for the eye, that's all. And I had way too much water in my brush when I did that, so now I've got it running everywhere. So I'm just going to clean that up. Seriously, Trace.
What color is the highlights on the fin?
Just a little bit of warm white. I have tried very hard to maintain a very simple palette, so I'm using the same series of 4 or 5 colors repeatedly.
Yeah. And again, you can find the pattern on tracymoreau.net. Yep. You just got to scroll down and it'll show you exactly what we're painting on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. It's updated every week, I believe.
Yep. I try to get it up by Wednesday. I'm not always successful. No. So the highlight on the eyeball is just a little tiny float of thinned warm white. And it's a weak float. Well, it's supposed to be a weak float, but apparently I'm incapable of doing that right now. Okay, and I'm telling you. There we go. Okay. There we go. I had to fix the eyeball because I managed to get white everywhere but where I needed it. So I'm going to do a little bit of repair work on my eyeball here. A little bit of lamp black so I can fix the mistake that I made. It's one of those things, I'll try to fix it and the eyeball's going to get bigger with every attempt. Okay, so his eyeball is fixed. I'm going to dry this real quick. I had too much water in my brush and so the paint bled everywhere.
Well, Sandy Jackson's off to work on
Well, you
Saturday.
have a great day, Sandy. So let's try this again. I'm going to grab a little bit of warm white.
Take 2.
Take 2. And I'm going to put a little weak float. There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Little weak float. And then I'm going to use a tiny dot of warm white right there for a highlight. And then while I've got that liner brush out, I'm going to take my liner, and now is the perfect time to add a few little highlights, just a little stroke of highlight to some of the details on our Seahorse. It's just a little stroke, little comma stroke of white. And again, I had too much color. And I want to put a little bit of that warm white right there, right along the bottom of that arrow.
Ooh. I once locked my car when parked and it was still running. Oh. I remember a very special child locked herself in my truck with my keys.
Oh no. Oh no.
That was
Steve's little girl, Brooke?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And then would not let us in.
Oh no. It was a game.
It was a game to her. She was
Oh,
I think she was 3.
Oh, Brooke is special though. She's such a sweetheart.
And yeah, I had to rip the antenna off of my truck.
Oh no.
Which luckily just comes unscrewed.
Yeah.
And I literally had to break into my truck.
Oh my gosh.
While this 3-year-old is laughing her butt up.
Because, yeah, Uncle Renee.
Yeah.
So we have just a couple little things left to do to this Seahorse to finish him off, and then we'll talk about the lettering. But this is really fun. It's just to add a little texture along the back of this Seahorse, and we're going to do that. You can do it with a liner brush. You can do it with a rigger. I've got me a short little round. I've got a 0 round for this. This will do the trick. So I'm going to start with the darkest value, which is this country red. And we're just going to put a series of random dots towards the back on each of these segments. I'm not doing a lot. 3 to 5 is about all you really need. You know, we're just creating a little bit of texture back here. And perhaps a little bit of pattern for this little guy. Neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs, and I want to continue this pattern. They do not have to be perfectly round dots. They don't have to be in any specific order. Just put a few of them in randomly, and we're going to do it all the way along on each segment. The only thing I would suggest is as the segments get smaller, make your dots a little bit smaller. That's all.
Oh, there's Patrick.
Hey, Patrick. Patrick finally got his goodies he won a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah?
His journal and all of that stuff.
Oh,
So,
right on.
Patrick, thanks for letting us know.
Patrick says, hello, everyone. Sorry I can't be here with you today. My brother is visiting.
Oh, nice.
But I will definitely watch the creation of that nice little fellow in the replay later.
Nice.
Take care. Big hugs.
Patrick's a sweetheart. So I've added just a few little of those country red dots. I know on camera they don't look quite as dark, but I'm going to rinse out my brush. And then I'm going to repeat that with a little bit of, oh my goodness, too much water today. I'm going to repeat that with a little bit of the coral shell, which is that lighter value in there. And I'm going to sort of intermix them with those dark red dots. I don't want them to be overpowering, but it's just to create a little texture back there.
Little Jackson recently locked Karen out of the house.
Oh no.
Thank goodness it wasn't the screen door. We have a number pad.
Oh my goodness.
So she just had to punch in the code. Can you zoom in for a quick look, please? Sure. Oh, you can leave it there. I can.
So I changed values because I don't want this to look like just a bunch of dark dots back there. And having the lighter value sort of reflect all of the other colors that are already in our Seahorse.
Dang, Tracy, your paint palette even looks awesome. How do you do it?
The only reason it looks awesome right now is because there's only 5 or 6 colors on it. Believe me, I can make a mess. I usually go through 2 or 3 in a session. Usually. If I'm sitting down to paint, believe me, I can make an unholy mess of my palette.
I think we should spin the wheel.
Yes, we should.
Okay.
While I'm doing polka dots.
Let me get the wheel up. Oh, how about this? I keep forgetting I have this set up. Boop.
Boop.
There we go. I only got 158 names today.
Is that it?
Yeah.
People aren't sharing as much as they usually do then.
Okay. And let's hit the... Oh, give me a second. I gotta go here. And click this. Open. I gotta open this. Where's the... Yes.
Leave it to Renee. So while he is adjusting and doing what he needs to do, I'm going to add my third color to all these dip dots, and I'm just using a little bit of warm white. And again, I'm just interspersing them randomly, mixing them in with the other two. If they overlap, that's okay. Not a big deal. We just want them to create a little bit of texture. If you've ever looked at the back of a shrimp, sometimes you see all these little dots in there. That's essentially what we're creating. So we're just doing it to a seahorse. I just kind of like that visual texture back there. It makes things more interesting.
Okay. I gotta hit this button. This button. It's not working.
How can it not be working?
I don't know. There. There we go. So what's our ad for the day? Batteries.
Batteries. Oh, there it goes.
I think. No, insulin injectors.
Wow. Oh yeah.
Sure, why not? So there's our... What do I got here? What is this?
What is what?
I don't know. It's not...
Click.
Oh, now it's TD Bank.
Okay. Whatever.
All right.
You do you.
What were the giveaways again?
We have 4 sets Dynasty Black Gold brushes. And it's not a little set either. It's 4 brush set.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you were to go out and buy it, its retail value is probably somewhere in around $25 to $30. Perhaps even more.
Okay, so let's spin.
Yes. Let's.
Here's the first name. We'll do 2 and we'll do 2 at the end.
Yep.
Who do we got? Who do we got? Who do we got? Sue Potts.
Nice. Sue's in Ontario. Hopefully you got power back, Sue. Some areas of Ontario are still without power 7 days after that storm.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
All right, Sue Potts. You got some brushes coming to you. Close. And let's do number 2. Congratulations, Miss Sue Potts. And... Oh, Sherry Ward.
Nice.
And I saw Faye Reed was right after her.
Missed it by that much,
Missed
Faye.
it by that much, Faye.
So the membership group has started posting their finished pieces from the other night. They're incredible. They have really outdone themselves. I'm so impressed.
Sherry Ward. All right, we still got 2 prizes left.
We do.
And we'll come back to those at the end.
So I'm going to start putting in my...
Okay. Our stream deck's not working. Okay, now it's working.
Didn't want to work for you today. So, instead of putting I could put my line drawing back on, but I prefer to do it this way.
5 days without power, she deserves to win?
Yeah. Oh, some people are up to 7. Elizabeth Mitchell, she's been living out at her cottage using the generators because there is no power in the city.
Jeez.
Yeah, a lot of people have done without power. I mean, we have a huge population in the Ottawa region in the southern Ontario part of the country, and that storm did an incredible amount of damage. And it was not really a hurricane. It had hurricane force winds, but it's a unique storm in and of itself. It was just a weather anomaly that created it.
When the hurricane hit here,
Yep,
Hurricane Arthur, how long did you guys go without power?
We were without power for 4 days.
Jeez.
But this was really strange because our part of the village went without power for 4 days, but one street over went another 2 days before they had power. It's just the way the grid lined up.
No.
So most of our neighbors on this street had extension cords running to the houses behind them so that they were sharing power with their neighbors.
Wow.
So people had power, but they had to, their access to it was limited. But we went 4 days. We were very fortunate. We did not get as much damage in our area as some people did. So we were very, very lucky. The scary part is that Arthur was a hurricane when he was coming up the Atlantic coast. And just before he made landfall here, he dropped to tropical depression. Became a tropical storm instead of a hurricane just before he made landfall. And he still did an incredible amount of damage.
There we go.
So, we don't take windstorms lightly here.
Ooh.
Hence the reason we all have generators.
Yep.
Everybody out here has them now.
Yeah, between tropical storms and squirrels.
Yep. We had a squirrel wipe out our power grid one year. That was pretty funny. It got into the power grid and touched something it shouldn't have, electrocuted itself, and then started a fire. So yeah, that made for an interesting couple of days too.
I remember I was living in Winnipeg at the time, and I was sitting in the living room. Me and Dot were just chilling, and I heard a loud bang.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, car accident, whatever.
Turns out not so much.
Yeah, and then the power went out.
Yeah.
Okay, step outside, and there was one of the transformers.
It had exploded. Yeah.
I've never seen one explode until that day. I was like, wow. Good. Okay.
So I took a pencil and just lightly drew in those vertical lines. And then I have a cheat for you because I just think that you can do this. Why not? And if you have it available to you, do it. I'm going to do this again. This is an Identi-pen. I have to read this thing to remember what it's called. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. So I'm just going to draw with the ruler and the Identi-pen. This is what I'm going to do those vertical lines with. One, because you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. It's cheating and it works. Whatever. It's not cheating. We got it done.
If it works, it's not cheating.
That's right. So each of those 3 lines I'm going to do with my... I keep wanting to say Sharpie, but it's not a Sharpie. It's an Identi-pen. We still have these?
Yes.
Okay.
Got a few.
Yeah.
I think we got 4?
I didn't know if I still had some in stock or not.
Yep.
But yeah, Identipen, it works just fine. It doesn't mind being varnished. It doesn't. It's one of those products that is just, great to have in your arsenal.
Mhm.
And they work. That's my big thing. As long as it works. My mechanical pencil is on my desk. Otherwise, I'd be using that too. I love my mechanical pencil.
I gave up trying to join the membership group after 6 months of frustration. I wish I could just send you the fee. Not on friendly terms with YouTube, I guess. Joined Sandy McTeer.
Good.
Good.
I support that.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, a lot of the issues with YouTube is YouTube.
Yep. It's YouTube. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that we have no control over when it comes to YouTube. So,
yeah. Payment process. We take a small hit on the fees so that they can take care of the taxes and all the payment processing
and things like that. So,
yeah. So we take a small hit, but it's worth it.
So, I've got all my vertical lines in. So I'm going to take my mermaid tail and I'm going to shade right along that line with the darkest value right up against that line. And we're going to define these boards a little bit more just by putting that little float in. Right up against that line. I love this mermaid tail. Such a pretty color.
Transformers used to go out frequently here. We live in the country, and the squirrel population used to do high wire tricks until zap pow.
Yep.
Yep. All it takes is for one to do something stupid, and the rest go, "Don't do that."
Yep. Well, considering that we live, well, let's call it out in the country, because technically we are. We don't live in the city grid. The village is, outside of the city, so we don't have a lot of those issues. We do, however, have a lot of wildlife.
Yep.
And we've had, here in the village, have had a few issues with wildlife of late. Yes. One in particular, we have a mama bear. Actually, I saw Animal Services had the bear trap out the other day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We had an incident here earlier in the week. One of our neighbors put her dog out for a tinkle in the evening, and he started barking and whatnot. And her mother said, "I think there's something out there." So she reached down to get her dog and came face to face with a bear.
Black bear.
A black bear. And I guess the bear must have been following the dog, but it tried to get in the house, and she slammed the door and screamed at it, and it left. But not before it injured the dog. And she's lucky she wasn't injured. But,
yeah.
But that's right here in the village. So Animal Control, our wildlife services here, came out with a bear trap. I think they want to relocate Mama, but Mama's got 3 little ones.
Yeah, that's those 3 little ones are going to be near Mom if they trap Mom.
Yeah. So,
or even worse, this is the worst outcome, is one of the cubs gets in that trap.
Yeah, and then that could cause more problems. Yeah. But yeah, so.
And you don't want to trank a cub.
No, you don't want to trank them all. Any of them. It's not good for them.
Well, tranking Mama Bear because she's.
Yeah,
grown.
it would just cause her less stress.
Yeah.
That's all.
Tranking a cub is
dangerous.
Because you can overdose a cub.
Yeah. And they're just little. And they're so stinking cute. One of my neighbors, her security cam caught them coming up her driveway the other day. So
triplets.
Yeah, she has triplets. So, I mean, we've had, Lands and Forests has come out here and Wildlife Services has come out here and given the village a rundown on how to avoid confrontation with these guys. But this is getting a little too close to home. So we have Bubbles. We have a Seahorse. We have wood boards, and all it took was like this. That's it. Easy peasy. Super easy peasy.
Can you get the white signs in a medium width?
The what? This sign?
The white signs in a medium width. White signs? I don't know.
Oh, white signos?
Oh!
It is a medium width. It's not the ultra fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a medium width.
Yeah. Autocorrect.
Yeah.
I love that.
The white signos. That's the white ball gel pen that we're using.
Signo pens. Yeah, that's what she meant. Okay.
If I can find mine. Here it is. This one here. Yeah. This one is not the same size as my black. This one is the medium width. It's not that ultra fine. So this is the one that I use. I love this one. I've tried a variety of them. I have the Tim Holtz ones as well. These ones from Ranger. And they work okay. They are very opaque. I will say that. The ink is nice and opaque. And they're, for all intent and purpose, they're virtually identical.
We have a swarm of dragonflies in our backyard right now. Lucky.
Love dragonflies.
They eat mosquitoes.
Yes, and we'd love to have a swarm of them right now. They eat these damn black flies. So we are ready to start our lettering, and then we're going to talk about all of the finishing that we're going to do on this little guy. So lettering, we're going to start with our C, this one here. The base color for this, I'm going to use a little bit of that country red, just because I love this red. And because this red is just a little bit transparent, it's going to be affected by that undercolor, which is that Bahama blue. So load it up. Make sure your paint is nicely thinned. Should be a little thicker than milk.
Autocorrects makes me look dim-witted or drunk.
Oh, it does that to all of us.
Yeah. Turns my strong-worded text messages into cute and cuddly ducks.
Yeah. Yep. So I really do love this country red for this kind of thing. I think the contrast with that blue is really pretty. And it pops off that background really nicely. I got one little spot here I'm not thrilled with. But put one coat on, see how it looks. If it doesn't look even or nicely opaque, then you can certainly put another coat on. Now, when you're transferring lettering, break out that steel edge ruler. Make sure that all your vertical and horizontal lines are nice and crisp, because it will make your life so much simpler when it comes to painting lettering. It is virtually impossible to paint a straight line when you're working with a crooked line. So if you have a nice straight line to work up against, it will make your life so much simpler, and your lettering will look so much better. So you get nice, crisp, clean verticals and nice, crisp, clean horizontals.
With my imaginative mind, the exclamation mark looks like a baton he's holding.
Yeah. He's conducting.
Can teething cause a puppy to drastically slow down on eating? Yes. If the food is too hard, add water.
Yeah. Poor puppy.
Yeah. Teething is a fun one. Ice cubes work best.
Dot still likes ice cubes.
Dot still loves ice cubes. You need something that's firm but has some give. Teething toys for babies usually help too, but you got to be careful on
the size. So this is why I do all of that shading first before I paint my lettering. it just gives you the ability to crisp up things, make them nice and smooth. Now, when I traced my lettering on, I realized that I made a mistake, and so I've got a black line on this side. I should have erased it before I started painting it, but I didn't, and I almost followed that line when I was painting the S. However, that's what this thing is for. And I learned something yesterday. I was so excited about this.
Uh-oh.
Sanding sponge. Eraser.
Sharpen yours.
You can sharpen your eraser to a point.
Oh, and get some fine details.
So you can get in there and clean up little areas.
Cool.
And it's interesting because I was watching a video as part of my the tutorial I'm doing about the Raven. I was previewing the video, and the artist, I thought this was freaking brilliant. She's got one of those rotary erasers,
Oh, yeah.
the electric ones. I have one. And she said, if you're having trouble getting into all of those little details with your knock eraser or your rotary eraser, she showed how you can sharpen it on a piece of sandpaper, and I went, oh my God, that's brilliant. So, but this is why I love this little knock eraser, because I can get close to things without taking off paint, without, like, because the paint's wet, so I didn't want to mess with it. But that I thought was just the most brilliant little tip, to use sandpaper to sharpen the point on your knock eraser so that you could get even tighter. And I thought it was good the other hand, but this one was flipping amazing.
Paula R. Is that Paula Ransdell?
Paula Ransdell.
Yes.
Yep. Hi, Paula.
She's got a puppy.
What kind of puppy is it, Paul?
What kind of puppy is it, Paul? How much for that puppy in the window?
So I have...
You know, if I ever see a Mal in either the SPCA
It's coming home, I know that.
or a pet shop, or
It's coming home.
even if I
know
see
that.
a box that says free puppy,
I'm aware.
and I look inside and it's a Dutch Shepherd, a Malinois, or even a GSD, it's coming home. But specifically Mal.
Yeah. So while that lettering's drying, I'm going to come down here and do this white lettering. This is a chance to show you how easy this type of lettering is to do. Load up that rigger full of your thinned warm white. I'm going to do it on top of this so you can see what I'm doing. Do you see? I press that. Look at that square edge that shows up right there. It's squared off just like a flat shader. That's how you're going to use this thing, just like a flat shader. So on the chisel edge of that, start at the top of the letter, press down till the brush opens up, and then come back up onto the chisel edge. Press down, back up onto the chisel edge.
Chihuahua Black Poodle mix. Okay.
I bet he's cute.
I bet he's cute too. 4 months old.
Oh, he's still baby.
Yeah. So with the food, you obviously know small breed food. Add water. You're good. Don't play tug with puppies,
Yeah.
especially if they're teething. And don't worry if you can't find the teeth when they aren't there.
Yeah, because they usually swallow them, don't
They
they?
usually go through the system.
Yeah.
But don't play tug for a little while until they have full adult teeth and nothing too hard.
And even their adult teeth, you've got to wait a little while.
Yeah, as I found out.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted the titanium teeth for Dot.
Yeah.
Make her look even meaner, but
Why? There's nothing mean about Dot.
there's nothing mean about Dot, but at the time,
That would have been cool.
that would have been cool. But it turns out those titanium teeth are thousands of dollars rather than hundreds. So I just went with the hundreds.
We went with what the budget could allow. So I've stroked in my lettering, and now I'm just going to paint in those connectors, all of those little fine lines that connect all this lettering. Now you can do that with a liner brush if you're more comfortable with it. If you get really comfortable with the rigger, you'll be able to do it easily with the rigger.
I have a 1-year-old pug. Sorry. Pugs are wonderfully dumb.
They are wonderful dogs, though.
They're very wonderful dogs. They're a great.
They're a companion dog.
They're a companion dog.
Yeah.
They're not a dog you want to do any sort of heavy sporting with or heavy training with.
Nicole Wright. I don't know. She's fabulous. Just the most incredibly talented lady. She has a little French bulldog.
Okay.
And he's the taffy color, that rich golden color.
Yeah.
And his name is Whiskey.
Oh, yes.
Oh, my God. That
the one
dog,
who has his own seat.
He has his own seat on the bike.
Yeah.
Like mountain biking. He goes mountain biking with them. He is just their travel companion. He is just the cutest thing. But she takes some of the most gorgeous photos of him. And in some of the cutest situations. So if you want something to do, go check out Nicole Wright on Instagram or on Facebook or on TikTok. She's amazing. But she's got the best pictures of little Whiskey. He is so cute.
Anne says my daughter has a 16-year-old pug.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh, man.
So we have lettering. And the one thing we have left to do is to put some shadows in, because I like to have a nice little drop shadow around this lettering. We're going to do that with the rigger and a little bit of thinned asphaltum. And then we will be set to do all of the finishing stuff on this. Now I've thinned this asphaltum out with a little bit of glaze. You can do it with water. And I'm just putting a little line on the right side of every element of this lettering. So it's just this little asphaltum. And it's just the width of the brush. I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on it. I don't want this to be a really heavy shadow, but it's just there.
The reason pugs live so long is because they can live off love. They're a strange breed. As long as they're loved, they're good.
Yeah. They're funny, though.
They are. Each one has their own separate personality.
Oh, yes.
And they are entertaining. I couldn't own one just because of the health concerns with them.
Yeah.
And
I've never met one I didn't like. I even like him.
Okay.
Yeah, and he, as crotchety as he is, I even like him because he's got character.
Yeah, fair enough. I hate autocorrect.
Oh, don't we all?
She is almost potty trained. She has short hair with very curled tail.
Oh, I bet she's a cutie.
And white feet.
Cute. Our neighbor across from us is a friend of ours, Steve. He has Archie.
Archie, he's a beautiful dog.
He is just...
He is your typical golden retriever, though.
Oh, yes, he is. Thick as a brick. Sweet as the day is long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just a big sweetheart.
Yeah. He is, but he's such a character. And him and Dot together are hilarious.
Yeah.
Because Dot looks at him like, what is wrong with you? You're fun to be around and all, but wow, dude. Yeah.
Limit the crazy.
Yeah. Dial it back a little. Oh, yeah. They're priceless. So it's just a simple little drop shadow on that. And all it is just to elevate that lettering. That's all. So we're going to do a simple highlight on these letters. I'm going to use a little bit of that coral shell, the lighter value. And I'm just going to put a little stroke like this. Nothing major. I'm not looking for perfect. I don't see the need for it. This to me feels a little bit more organic. It's a little more relaxed. And let's face it, this is a beach sign. It doesn't need to be absolutely perfect.
A 1-year-old Aussie Doodle started waking me up at 1 a.m. with whining and licking my hands. Okay. I thought he had a tummy ache, so I got up, dressed, and took him outside. He didn't go. Hoping it's a short phase. Longer walks at night.
Yeah.
No water after a certain time, whatever you feel comfortable with. And just a much longer walk. Because if he... Dot used to do the same thing, wake me up at 3 a.m., say, hey.
I need to go outside.
But it was mainly because
it's just
she had more energy than we got rid of on the previous walk.
Yeah. Yep, that's all it is. So I'm just cleaning up a few little graphite lines. So we are ready to start doing the final stages of this, and that's this outside edge. I'm going to start the outside edge with a float of asphaltum. And this is going to go fairly quickly. So again, remember what we did with the mermaid's tail going all the way around the outside? We're going to do the same thing with a little bit of thin asphaltum. Neatness does not count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. We are just aging the edges of this a little bit. So don't panic if it's not exactly clean and perfect, because honestly, it doesn't need to be. And it works much better if it's not.
And it's an Aussie. The Aussie Poodle. Poodle's going to be a little bit more lazier than the Aussie Shepherd. But the Aussie Shepherd needs to exert a lot of energy.
Yeah. So I'm going to dry this real quick. We're going to do a chipped wood. I love that look on this. And it's super easy to do. And it's a great way to finish off this type of thing. So I'm going to grab, I'm using a rigger and a little bit of thinned lamp black. You could do this with thinned asphaltum too, but I kind of like the black. I like the contrast. So I'm just going to roll my brush along the outside edge like so. Loaded with thinned lamp black, and it's a push, pull, and roll. So push, pull, roll. This is going to give you that sort of chipped look all the way around the outside edge. So how aggressive you do this is entirely up to you. I made it a little aggressive in a few spots, but I might make it less so in some others. I might even skip a spot and put a chip in the corner. But I like doing that float of asphaltum first because it gives you a nice aged look on the edges. And then when you put this black on, it cleans it up a little bit. So you don't get that, it gives you a nice finished edge. So,
nice.
Yeah. Super simple, and it's very effective.
Okay. So that makes a lot more sense now.
What's that?
That was Janine Marshall with the Aussie Doodle.
Okay.
She broke her leg.
Oh, no.
So she's been, in the last couple of weeks, she's been having a boot.
Oh.
And her walks haven't been as long.
Gotcha.
She just had her boot removed. Yeah, she has lots of energy. We used to do about 5 miles a day before I broke my leg.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. So essentially, you're not quite meeting your dog's needs for energy dispersion.
But understandably.
Understandably.
Yeah.
But that dog also knows you're injured.
Yeah.
She's trying to take care of you.
Yeah.
So she's licking your hand because you okay? Mom, you okay?
I give you kisses so you feel better.
That's essentially it.
Yeah.
Because when When a dog is wounded, the other dogs will usually lick it to help it bathe because it can't move because it's wounded.
Yeah. So.
Or they'll lick the wound.
Yeah. So I like this little bit of chippy wood look around the outside edges. That's just a me thing. And I will tell you that if you're looking for this surface, you can also get it from Cupboard Distributing. Ta-da! So I'm going to make sure that this is all well and dry, which it appears to be. So I'm going to break out my white Uniball Signo. I love these. This one actually works really, really well. And on these vertical lines, I like to take that white gel. Okay, would help if it was... So here I am. It works really well. Can't get it to work. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little highlight. And it's not a solid line. I like to break it up a little bit. And I'm doing that on the right side of that line. Like so. And again, it's not a perfect line. I like to break it up. You can do it with dots if you want to. Just want to highlight the edge of that line a little bit. This is just a fun way to do this, and it's super simple. If you're feeling really energetic, by all means, feel free to use a liner brush to do this with a little bit of thin titanium white. But I like using this pen because this is fast and easy, and it's a very nice, bright, opaque white, so it works very well. Ta-da! Look at that. So once that's dry, and I'll dry it so that I don't smear it all over the place, because that's me. I've done it before. So I'm just going to dry that real quick. And then I'm going to take that same pen and I'm going to trace along the edges of all of that chippy wood. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't even have to be right on the line. But I do like to make it as irregular as possible. And so it's just a little highlight on the edges of that chippy paint. I learned this from Chris Hoy. I loved this technique. I think it works really, really well. And it just adds a little extra interest to things. Chris always seems to come up with just the best little techniques for, minute details, odd little details. She just comes up with the most wonderful techniques. And this is no exception. I just think that this is a marvelous way to finish off something. Just to create, that little bit of interest. And the fact that this gives it that aged appearance. And it's nice and bright. Doesn't take anything away from your finished piece. And it's a fun little detail. Just makes this look great. Finishes things off really nicely. Now, we are going to spatter this, and then we're going to add a few little details with that black gel pen. I just like the gel pen. I like how it works. I like that it adds sort of a hand-drawn appearance to things, which appeals to me. Just a fun way to finish things. Ta-da. All the way around. And as I said, I like the idea of having, those irregular, jiggly, squiggly, imperfect edges. That just, to me, makes this look all that much better. And there we go. So I went all the way around. Love how that looks. And then I'm going to grab my black gel pen. This is that 0.38 that I use all the time. This one is almost empty. And this is where I add, a few little tiny details to things. I like to add that little, sort of soft, sketchy line to the outside of everything. It gives it a nice detail without making it look really hard-edged. And for me, that hard-edged look just doesn't work. It kind of looks like a coloring book to me. So I don't tend to like to do things absolutely perfect or constant or thick. I prefer using that ultra fine line. I like the finish much better. But again, that's just me. If you don't like this part, then don't do it. It's your piece. You can do whatever you want.
And we got ourselves a new member.
We do?
Yes, we
Who
do.
joined us?
That would be Peggy Anderson.
Hi, Peggy. Welcome. I think you're going to have fun with this group. We do have a lot of fun. And our monthly classes are a blast. Well, we are doing the human figure this month with our geisha. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, as I said, just continue along with this nice, squiggly, imperfect line all the way around. You can add, the odd little stroke, little details as you choose. It's up to you. I like all these little fine details. That's just a me thing. I like that sort of hand-drawn appearance. That appeals to me. But as I said, if you choose not to do it, that's okay too.
So not this weekend. Next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of you are going to see on the next live that your golden paintbrush
Yep.
is no longer a golden paintbrush.
No longer a paintbrush.
No longer a paintbrush. It'll be celebrating our 1 year for the membership program. We started it last year, about this time.
The 26th was the day that we opened it up.
So we're 2 days late.
It was the 26th of May, which was exciting. It was very exciting.
Oh. What color did you use under the eye?
I just went in here, this little bit here, was that bright salmon. I like the sketchy lines.
I wish I could join membership. Why can't you? You don't have a YouTube account? Just curious. Or you don't want to deal with YouTube, we understand that as well.
Yep. You don't need to have a Facebook account either to be a member.
We post everything on in reference to the members.
It goes through the community tab on the YouTube channel. And when you're a member and you've turned on your bell notifications, you'll get an email from us with that information. It'll come directly from the YouTube channel.
Hard to believe it's been a year already.
Nobody is more surprised by that than I am. I'm just gobsmacked that it's been a year already.
I joined the first day, May 29th.
Wow. Yeah, that was the very first day.
I started it in advance.
Yeah.
But we didn't announce it until I think it was that Saturday.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we announced it and it was leading up to it that would be open for registration on that day. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have a really great bunch. They're so talented, so unbelievably talented. The projects that they do are just mind-boggling. They do such a great job. And we have a lot of fun, especially with the challenges. The most recent challenges was the Nutcrackers.
Oh, yeah.
The projects they've been doing?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The challenge was to do these nutcrackers. They could choose their surface, choose however they wanted to do them. The only stipulation was they could not use traditional color palettes. They had to use something a bit different.
Oh, we got another member. Georgie Wagner.
Georgie! Welcome back, my dear. Georgie's been a member before.
Oh, has she?
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
I know she had some issues with YouTube, so I'm
Oh,
glad
did
that
she?
she's back with us. Thank you, sweetie. It's great to have you back.
I saw something about a 70-pound puppy.
70-pound puppy. So I've got all my little sketchy details in. I like going around my bubbles too, just putting a little sketchy line in. I really like that. So I've done that. I've got all of my shading done. I've got my chippy wood done. So the only thing I have left is to add some spatter. You know I have to have my spatter. So I'm going to grab my fugly brush and a little bit of warm white. And we're going to spatter this with warm white. Now, if you get bigger spatters, that's okay. I kind of like this with lots of spatter. So I've got a little bit of warm white on there. Now, if you wanted to, you could let this dry and then you could do this again with, say, a little bit of that mermaid's tail. Would be a nice addition too. I really like a little bit of spatter. I find that it softens things. It makes things feel a little less heavy. I'm going to throw in a little mermaid tail just for fun. Yay! I do love spatter. There we go.
Linda Safranco was the first member.
She was.
Yes.
Yes. She was the very first member.
She was the very
She's
first
still
member.
with us.
Oh, yeah. Of course she's with us.
So I'm going to dry this. And there we go. That is our C La Vie.
I hope one day I'll be good enough to join.
You don't have to be good. The whole point is just to have some fun. We try to give you projects and ideas so that you learn something from each of them.
Yeah.
The rule in our group, I don't have a whole lot of rules, but one of them is that you have to be able to support each other. Neatness does not count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs, and we are there to paint and learn. Yep. And that's all. There is no judgments on anything. And I got to tell you that we have one of the most supportive groups ever. They are absolutely fantastic. They support each other. They help each other. They're incredible. I think one of the best groups going. They're just amazing. And let's face it, the group is not me. The group is all of the people that join me. If you're crazy enough to come and play in my sandbox. So that is I think he's so pretty. I just love him.
He looks regal.
He does look regal. Yep. I just love him. I think he's such a fun piece. So that is our C La Vie.
C La Vie?
Yes.
Hey, it worked.
It worked.
The button worked.
Okay. So we still have 2 giveaways to do.
Yes, we do.
So you better get that wheel going.
Yeah. Thank you, Tracy and Renee, for the awesome lesson and the puppy tips.
Puppy tips. Yeah, there's lots of puppy tips.
Yep. I got tons of puppy tips. I used to teach puppy classes. It was my favorite part of being a dog trainer was puppy class.
Yeah. Well, you worked with puppies and canine too.
Yeah. But I still remember the Rottweiler that broke my pinky.
Yeah. Yeah, he's had the injuries to go along with it. So.
I've been bit. I've been scratched. I've had all the fun.
You got bit by a golden though, didn't you?
I got bit by a golden.
But that was because he was injured.
Yeah, he was hurt.
Yeah.
I got bit by the Rottweiler, but that was just bad timing on my correction. And I wasn't paying attention, and he got a hold of my hand. He obviously didn't mean to break my pinky, but
he was just a puppy.
He was I think he was about 5 months old.
Oh, yeah.
So he still had some weight on him, and he's powerful mouth.
Yeah.
He's a ruddy. Oh, look, craft supplies now.
Oh, we got some.
Yeah, we got craft supplies on the ads now.
Oh, but
right,
who's the ad for?
AliExpress.
Oh, no.
No, don't bother.
I don't buy from AliExpress.
All right, spinning the wheel.
No, too many copyright violations in there.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Who do we got? Helen Rennick.
Helen Rank. Congratulations, sweetie. You got some set of brushes coming your way. I don't say it often enough. I really appreciate you guys coming every Saturday. I mean, for 2 years, you guys have been just amazing. The support's been phenomenal, and we appreciate it very much. We're really lucky that we have such, I don't like using the word sponsorship, but support from companies like Deckwart and companies like Dynasty Brush. And now we're promoting some Tombow products because I fell in love with them. And I haven't found anything of theirs yet that I don't like, but I got to tell you, I'm obsessed with this knock eraser because this thing is freaking awesome. I love that. And their Tombow, the mechanical pencils, I'm in love with those too. I use them. That's the thing. So, there's generally, I don't put stuff up on my website unless it's something that I use and consistently use. I just don't believe in putting stuff up there for the sake of putting stuff up there.
Yeah.
So if I use it, there's a reason. Usually because it's a great product. So that's my thing. I prefer to have genuine and quality products on my website. So, and stuff that I use. So I don't put something up there that I don't use. So who else? We got one more to go.
We got one more to go.
Let's go.
We're spinning. Shelby Thomas.
Shelly. That's a name I haven't heard before. Shelby.
Shelby Thomas.
I don't think Shelby's ever won something from us before.
I don't think so either.
Congratulations, Shelby. Thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Thank you for the share. We really appreciate that. So next weekend, sorry to say, son, but I think we're doing a flower.
Are we?
Yeah.
Another flower.
He's been so proud of me because the last 3 weeks I haven't done any flowers. But yeah, I think we're going to do a flower.
Flowers! No!
In fact, I think it's going to be an orchid. So it'll be something a little different.
Okay. Orchid?
Yep. It's going to be an orchid. So. Excellent. So we have our 4 winners, Helen Rank, Shelby Thomas. Oh, what were the other 2? I can't see them from here.
Give me a second.
He can't see them from here either.
I gotta switch cameras. Sherry Ward
and Sue Potts. Yep. So we have 4 winners. Ladies, congratulations. Thanks for watching. We really appreciate that. If you are watching us on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That helps us out a great deal, and we appreciate all of the support that you guys give us every week. That's sticking it out for the last 2 years, watching and commenting and joining us for the laughs for the foodie stuff and the puppy the puppy information,
puppy talk,
and we get to paint something at the same time. It's like sitting around with a group of friends. So we're really glad and really do appreciate everything that you've done with us for the last 2 years. So having said that, please stay safe, and we will see you again next week.
Yay!
Mwah. Bye.